get here through red robots. Basically break every road rule under the sun.
So nini ndakadhakwa nembanje dzangu ndikaenda kuchipatara ndaunorapa ka handibatsiri asingazinishateteka aiwa.
Deeper analysis.
So, are you ready and prepared if violence rears up?
Jacob Mafumo's party has taken hostage of him.
The videos are there.
Do not be drawn into the debate of discussing issues that are subjective. He said when he grows up, he would like to be like me.
Good evening and welcome to the program. Just to break the ice, what is ZINEF's mandate?
To promote media freedom.
And money matters.
Coming up, Tanganda Limited is set to bring online a macadamia processing plant.
Now, Zimbabwe Stock Exchange listed company Seedco Limited has resolved to suspend indefinitely its proposal.
Every week on ZTN Prime.
Staying true to who you are. Ooh, guys, sometimes you just get so complacent, guys. You just chill. Do something a little crazy. Go somewhere on there. Bye. You take your stuff, I take my stuff. That's it. The man is supposed to be like a provider. We understand, like we've had this conversation before. I look good and I'm good looking. So, what get his own vibe? They were just happy to have Becky K in their I've got 2 teenagers. They always think whatever solves our problem has to be mine. Because half the time we got someone, the money.
Good evening and welcome. This is The Chase, Zimbabwe's premier current affairs program. Hello, I'm Andy Hodges. The election cycle in Zimbabwe is after every 5 years. And this year, the 2023, Zimbabwe goes to the polls on the 23rd of August, as announced and proclaimed by the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa. Now, a few months ago, the delimitation exercise sparked a spirited debate ranging from a constitutional court case to the court of public opinion, carried out on various media and social media platforms. The Zimbabwe Electoral Commission is currently conducting a voter inspection exercise that has met its own challenges and disputes, from allegations of disappearing names from the voters' roll and displacement of voters. The question is, now that election dates are certain, is Zimbabwe ready to hold a free, fair and credible election? Our topic, election proclamation. Will ZEC deliver? Join me and my guest tonight live on The Chase. Hello and welcome to The Mint. I'm Andy Hodges. This is ZTN Prime, broadcasting to you.
So when COVID came,
Welcome back. You're watching The Mint live on ZTN Prime. I'm Eben Mabunda.
back. You're watching The Chase, Zimbabwe's premier current affairs program. This is ZTN Prime, broadcasting to you from our studios in Harare, Zimbabwe. To discuss election proclamation, will ZEC deliver? I'm joined by Ambassador Rodney Kiwa, Zimbabwe Electoral Commission Deputy Chairperson. Ambassador, welcome to The Chase.
Thank you very much.
Now, to our viewers, please join this discussion via our social media platforms. Of course, our Facebook page is Zim Papers TV Network, and our Twitter and Instagram handles at ZTN Prime. We would love and like to hear from you. Remember, all views expressed on The Chase are those of our guests and do not reflect the views of Zim Papers 1980 Private Limited or indeed those of ZTN Prime. Ambassador, 7 ZEC commissioners disowned the delimitation report, which will be used during this year's elections. Have you within ZEC found each other, yes or no? I mean, or will the 2023 election be presided over by what I can only term a divided electoral body?
Thank you very much, Andy. We have found ourselves. We really found ourselves. In fact, as I'm talking to you today, you know, our commissioners are part-time. It's just the chairperson and the deputy who are appointed full-time. So when there is no electoral activity to take place, or when there are no meetings, they will be away. But starting today, for the next 6 months or so, there will be full-time at ZEC, and I want to assure you that we found each other. The vice president played a key role in making us for us to find each other, and I am very pleased. I'm very pleased with the way we are now engaging ourselves. In fact, we had a very, very successful, productive commission meeting in Ulawayo a couple of weeks ago.
Okay. I read a comment recently which said that sometimes conflict or disagreement is actually good because it means that you can air your views and then you can actually then get together. So when you say how you found each other, you said the vice president played a key role in this. He sat people down and aired their views openly. I mean, talk to us about that.
Yeah, he did that. He called us and did exactly that, to say we must look at the bigger picture. Zimbabwe is bigger than any of us. So we took his advice, and like I'm saying, I'm very happy to see.
So there is no divided ZEC.
No,
We're going in with one ZEC, one vision, one direction.
I can authoritatively say so.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, there appears to be some confusion among citizens on the physical placement of polling stations. Critics claim that polling stations have been moved in some instances to kilometers away from where people originally voted or voted in 2018. They have to travel long distances to cast their vote. Can you take us through possibly what led to this decision and how or if the voting public has been educated enough to know where their new polling stations will be and where to go on election day?
Oh, thank you very much. We're driven by one principle, that is no voter should be more than 5 kilometers from any polling station. But of course, there are always exceptions depending on the location. Now, the whole purpose of our delimitation was to respond to the legal requirements that expect ZEC to say after 10 years we should conduct.
That's illegal. That's the law.
That's the law. And now, in the process of coming up with new constituency boundaries and ward boundaries, some people obviously will be allocated to new polling stations, and I guess this is what has happened in this particular case. But it's nothing unusual. It comes with the process.
No, okay, so I'm a voter. I used to vote, I don't know, here in the CBD, just as an example, or in Hatfield or Highfields, for example, at a certain polling station. All of a sudden, I'm now at a new polling station. How would I, as a voter, be able to identify and find out, one, where my new polling station is, and of course that then implies where my voting role is, which we'll talk about later. But how would I know? How will I find out? What access can I have to information that tells me this?
Very good. That's precisely why we had this. We carried out the voters' roll inspection, because and then once we have the final voters' roll, we will publish through the media and our papers and so forth, where all the new polling stations will be. But what I want to assure the public is that very few compared, will be moved away from their polling areas. Very, very few.
But the station may change.
Yes. But for instance, if one was in Ward A, might find himself or herself now voting in Ward B, but from the same polling area or polling station.
Okay, but if I wanted to find out just now, if I wanted to say, okay, Andrew Hodges, he wants to vote, what polling station should I go to? Is there a way of doing it easy? Is there a way of doing it online, for example?
Just go to our website, which I'll give you at the end of the thing, as well as check whether you are on Net 1 or Econet on *265#. And follow the instructions.
And it will tell you your name, etc., where what polling station you're at, the location, all of that information is there.
Exactly.
Okay, no, I think that's important because because one of the fears, of course, is that if people go to a polling station and it's not there, this voter apathy can creep in, and we want every Zimbabwean to vote. I mean, that's the bottom line. It's a democracy. People should exercise their right. That's why we're here. So that voter apathy is a concern, and maybe the young voters, the new time voters, it may put them off voting for future elections. I mean, so it's very important that this information is transparent and open.
Correct. And in order to achieve that goal, we are also going into a massive voter education through our trained personnel. We have got specialized personnel whom we have trained. We are going to be doing flyers. We are going to do road shows and engage all the various stakeholders. And by the way, for us to achieve the maximum, the optimum that we want, we will involve all the stakeholders. That is including all the participating political parties as well as the candidates.
So it isn't just a response. So what you're saying, if I understand you correctly, it isn't just a responsibility of ZEC. Yes, of course it is in terms of where to tell people, but you also use political parties and you tell them exactly so they can tell their supporters. You also put it in the media, you put it on radio and so forth. So in essence, you're saying that the information is out there, whether you're in the rural areas or in urban areas, you can find that information easily and know exactly. You'll make sure.
We will make sure.
Okay, all right. Now, ZEC has been accused by the opposition of manipulation by transferring voters from rural areas to urban areas. Obviously, the belief there is that it will help or some political parties, political fortunes or electoral fortunes in the upcoming elections. What is your position as ZEC regarding this allegation?
Andy, I'm not aware of that. And if that has been happening, I'm not aware of it being formally brought to our attention. And we wouldn't do that anyway. We wouldn't do that anyway because voters as registrants are the ones who would tell us to say they want to vote in a particular district, in a particular ward, in a particular constituency. It's the voter who determines where he or she will vote.
Let me give you a hypothetical. Let's say that we are now, say, Harare, and we talk Goamonzi or Rua, just as an example. Right? Obviously, it's hypothetical. And so the argument is that the boundary or the constituency has been moved more into Goamonzi to take, or let's say, for example, as I said, only hypothetical, to bring those voters from Goamonzi who may favor a political party into this Harare constituency so that the vote could swing in favor of one party or the other. I think that's where the argument comes.
I see. But you see, the thing is that it's not one of the requirements to be able to register. We don't know the political alignment of our voters. We don't know. And we don't need to know. It's illegal, and also it would be unethical.
But you don't care, if I can say that, if I can put it that way. You just want to run an election. You don't really, whether Andy votes for X or Y, that's my choice.
Yes. Ours is to make sure that we facilitate Andy to be able to
vote freely and peacefully.
Exactly.
Now, this is something which I found is not understood by most voting citizens or even citizens of our country. And that is that that the day after, or soon after the proclamation of the election, I think it's the day after the proclamation date by the president, voter registration for the 2023 poll closes. It stops. However, you can still register to vote, just that you will not be allowed to vote in the 2023 harmonized elections. Now, I think a lot of people don't understand that. They think that, because I think that the president obviously pronounced just 2 days ago, or Wednesday, and now, of course, it's closed in terms of registration. If I go on Monday, I'm thinking, oh, I should be able to vote in the elections in August. But that's not the case. Maybe take us through this process. Explain this.
I appreciate that you have got it correct.
Okay.
And certainly, 2 days after proclamation, registration of voters for purposes of participating in the 2023 harmonized elections stops. But, however, the law provides that the citizens can continue to register, but not for the 2023 harmonized elections, but part of the future elections, be they by elections
2028
or 2028. Yes,
okay.
but our voting practice is a continuous voting thing. I think that must be understood.
No, that's important, because I know at the last election there were voters who came to polling stations and said, but I registered to vote, and then they looked on the list and their names weren't there, and they were told, sorry, your name's not there. Then they called fraud. They said, well, it's fraud. I did register. Here's my slip. I should be on the vote. I should be able to vote. But the fact is this: 2 days after the proclamation, polls close. In fact, registration closes.
Yes.
Closes for this election. However, you can still continue registering. I think that's a very important point, and I hope that you'll be educating voters on that exact issue.
Precisely.
Because that can create conflict.
Exactly. We do not want people to come back and say, "But I registered on the 3rd of June, and why am I not on the voters' roll?"
And they don't understand.
Yeah. So it's a message we will really insist and emphasize that it's clear to our stakeholders. That's what the law provides.
Now, of course, we've just been conducting a recent voters' roll inspection exercise, which is ended today, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it ended
Many voters, including prominent politicians, actually found their names had been left off the rolls. Some chief election officers are reported as saying that errors such as these would be corrected. But once voters' rolls have closed tomorrow, or tomorrow morning, if I can say that, can the errors actually be corrected? I mean, the law is not really clear on this point. I think the point I'm trying to make is this: if I find that instead of Andrew Hodges, it says Andy Hodges, and I come and I say it's wrong, how can I be assured that come election day, my name is correct, I can go and vote without any hassles, and these errors have been changed, or my name has been put on if it wasn't there before?
Definitely. The whole purpose of having this voters' roll inspection is to address such anomalies like misspelled names, addresses, allocation of polling stations, and so forth and so on. So you are rest assured that all the data, the details that we are capturing from our voters will, and I want to underline that, will be corrected. Otherwise, what is the point of doing that? We can't be seen to be wasting. In an ideal situation, we would not want to have a situation whereby we are making mistakes.
But it happens.
But that's the reality.
Like this.
But that's the reality. But what I would want to assure our viewers is that we take our work very seriously, and we are not going to take away someone's right to vote by not playing our part.
Assuming that I've done that, I'm still concerned. I'm still worried that it won't be corrected. Obviously, before the election date, I don't want to go on the election date and find that problem. I want to find out next week that I wanted to correct it. What do I do?
You can visit our district offices, 68 of them, 10 provincial offices. But more than that, you can use our hashtag *268 hash, whether it's on Econet or on Net1, and you check that information. In fact, it will also assist you to be certain that your names have been correctly captured, and your polling station has been.
And I'm assuming that you do have a form. I mean, you have proof that you register, you highlighted this anomaly. You got a form. So if it isn't correct when you go through the hash or go to the shop, you can still approach ZEC and say, guys, here's my form. I asked you to change it.
Exactly.
Please do it.
Yes,
that's possible.
That's possible. In fact, we would expect people to do that. Otherwise, it will have been a waste of time on their part if at the end of the day they are unable to. So there is a form, I think it's V1 RB, something like that, which is completed, and we make sure that.
Now the election that has been proclaimed, one thing that critics and commentators state is that what happens to the electoral bill, which is currently before Parliament? I mean, because it's still before Parliament, yet the date has been proclaimed. It seems as if it should have been the other way around, so to speak. Electoral bill should have gone through, and then Parliament, then the President should have proclaimed. Any comment on that?
It was also our prayer that the bill would be through by this time and so forth. But I wish I could be more helpful, because at this stage I'll be consulting with my colleagues, with the chairperson, and through that other authorities as to exactly what happens.
Because it does have implications, doesn't it? Because the question is, are we going to look at the electoral bill, which is before Parliament, or are we going to stick to the existing electoral bill that's already in place? I mean, that's a true statement, and ZEC needs to know that.
Yes, we will know.
Okay. Now, one issue which is an interesting thing is accreditation of foreign observers, because I was recently at the Zimbabwe Debt and Arrears Clearance Seminar held at Wild Geese Lodge here in the capital, where the President was there. And he spoke about the elections, and he said, and I sort of praise his quote, he said that any country is welcome to send observers, provided that they follow the laws of Zimbabwe. So let me give you a couple. Let me start with, I'll do them one by one. What exactly is the process for countries or organizations to apply for observer status?
Thank you very much. But before I respond to the second part, I wish to emphasize once again that if the President has spoken, it means the President has commanded. so there is no.
But he did say you have to follow the law, of course.
Of course, we have to follow the law. Yeah. Now we are in the process of forming what we call an accreditation committee, which is made up of the Ministries of Foreign Affairs, Justice, Home Affairs, immigration, and other bodies. Now, for all our local journalists,
local observers,
local observers, they will apply through this accreditation committee, and then those from without Zimbabwe will apply through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But there is a committee which adjudicates
So let me be clear, before I move to my next question on this issue, let me be clear. The appointment or the acceptance of observers is actually not a direct ZEC issue. This is about this accreditation committee or foreign affairs. They are the ones who decide who observes our elections. That's correct. ZEC has no part to play in it.
No, we have.
Okay.
We have, because when we get submissions from Andy's organization or as an individual, we consult as a committee and say, yes, we have no problem with Mr. Hodges.
Okay. So you sit on that committee as well?
Yes, I do.
Oh, I see your point. Okay,
yes,
all right.
Yes,
so you're part of the committee together with Home Affairs, Immigration, etc., to make sure the okay.
Yes,
but essentially, the President is correct that any country can apply. The question now is whether they're approved at the accreditation or at Foreign Affairs. That will determine whether they become observers.
We would want to have as many observers as we can, because we
have
nothing to hide.
That's the question. If I remember in 2018, I mean, there was quite how many observers can you expect? I mean, there was thousands, if I recall, in 2018. I don't know the exact number, but I know it was well over 2,000 odd, wasn't it?
I wish I could help you in terms of numbers, but certainly we would want to welcome as many as possible.
But there was like the AU, SADC.
Oh yes,
there were different bodies, regional bodies.
Yes.
I think the Chinese, if I'm not mistaken, said, if I recall.
Countries, you see, observers come in a number of ways. They can come as representing countries, right? Or come representing organizations like the like the AU, like SADC, like the Commonwealth, and a host of other organizations. So everybody is welcome.
Is welcome.
Yes.
Now, my final question on this observer issue is because one issue that always comes up is different observer missions write different reports about elections. One will say it's free and fair, another one will say no, it wasn't, and so forth. So I suppose the key is to make all observer missions say this was a free and fair election and we're happy with it. How do you think ZEC can play its part in ensuring that?
By following the law. The law is the law. There are clear procedures that we have to abide. There are also best practices that we learn from other countries. We are doing everything to make sure that this plebiscite is beyond reproach. That is our aspiration. That is our expectation, and we are working towards that with all the commitment that we have. And the good thing about it is that right now, as ZEC, we have no excuse in the sense that we are well resourced. I can maybe even use this opportunity to inform our country that we so far have already secured the ballot paper. It's in place. We have secured the ink. We have secured the pens. All that is in place.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're ready to go. The
Yes,
boxes are there.
we are good
The
to go.
polling stations are ready to go.
We are good to go.
And now, what about personnel?
The personnel, yes, is in place.
But don't you normally use teachers and don't you?
Yeah, we employ teachers and so forth, but you see, we recruit through the Public Service Commission. They are the ones who avail
So civil servants also. So basically, if they can apply, anyone can, as long as you get the personnel to fill. All because there are thousands of polling stations, aren't there?
I'd say that.
Well, it's time for us to take a breather. You, of course, are watching The Chase, Zimbabwe's premier current affairs program, here live on ZTN Prime. My guest today, Ambassador Kiwa, Deputy Chairperson of the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission. Don't go away. I'm going to continue talking to the Ambassador. The Chase will be right back.
My sister, she needs me. She's still out there.
I followed your friend from work yesterday.
You did what?
Have you ever seen a dead body?
What?
Kay had to put it in the trunk.
How do you know who these people are?
It feels organized, too connected. It's like a syndicate. There's no evidence, no body, nothing.
Farai, you need to pick your fights wisely. Stop! Get on the ground now! But you can't tell anyone because Kay will probably come for you.
Welcome back. You're watching The Chase, Zimbabwe's premier current affairs program. I'm Andy Hodges, and this is ZTN Prime, broadcasting to you from our studios in Harare, Zimbabwe. Our discussion tonight, election proclamation. Will ZEC deliver? And of course, my guest in studio is Ambassador Rodney Kiwa, the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission Deputy Chairperson. Now, this is also just the start. In fact, we've been doing a series on elections for a while now. And of course, now the date has been proclaimed in August, you can expect more and more programming covering the elections and all issues surrounding the elections, talking to political parties, talking to ZEC, talking to people on the ground, you as well, citizens, to understand if Zimbabwe is ready and prepared for the 2023 harmonized elections on August the 23rd. Ambassador, there have been allegations that organizations such as FAZ are involving themselves in the verification process at polling stations. What is your comment on this practice? And what assurances can you give prospective voters that these organizations like this, or any organization, will not influence the process?
Yeah, first of all, I'm not familiar with what this organization is all about. Okay. And in any case, we will not allow, ZEC will not allow anyone who has no legal standing to interfere with our processes. That we will not allow. And if there have been such cases, I think they must be reported to the police.
Because, I mean, I assume that if you're a voter and you suddenly get someone knocking on your door from some organization saying, come, let's go check the voting, have you checked your voting thing, da, 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 da. I mean, that is a no-no as far as that is concerned, is it? Is that how it works?
No. We operate through recognized institutions. Which are the recognized institutions? Like religious groups, those that we recognize, and not only that, as ZEC, we will have this at national level, what we call the multi-party liaison committees. I chair that at the national level, okay. And then we work with the political parties, and only recognized trained people, our professionals, people who have been trained in the electoral process, are the ones who are authorized to conduct any election education. Otherwise, anyone else who is not known to us must stop with and must be reported.
Now, I want to talk about the inspection exercise, because some sections of society have reported, it's been reported, that they've lost trust in this exercise, in the inspection exercise, and they're calling for it to be redone, noting the false start and what commentators call confusion. I mean, how would you respond to this, the idea of reopening the inspection exercise, the voters' roll inspection exercise, because of, as I said, what some and what commentators have called false start and confusion?
I don't subscribe to that observation. Obviously, people are entitled to their own opinions, but at times, I would dare say, they are not entitled to their own facts. Yes, we aspire to run a perfectly running operation, but shortcomings can happen here and there. We don't deny that.
But overall, are you saying that ZEC has not seen any problems or issues with the inspection process? In fact, you feel, okay, as you said, there may be little bits of things here and there, but in general, yes. Are you happy with the inspection process, the way it ran, the way it was carried out in all 10 provinces?
Yes.
You are?
Definitely, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, part of the issues, in fact, I had you recently on The Chase, and part of the issues that we discussed last time was you said that a lot of the things, a lot of the issues about the election could be solved by voter education. I think you've mentioned this previously in our discussion tonight. So please explain to me, what is ZEC actually doing? Like I want you to be specific. How are you rolling out voter education exercises? Have you publicized this whole program? What are you doing so that in the next few weeks or months, every Zimbabwean citizen will know all the facts they need and the information to be able to go and vote on August the 23rd?
Thank you. Yes, voter education is key. People must be aware of their rights, what is expected of them, what is involved in actually in participating in voting come the 23rd of August. So how do they get to know? First and foremost, through such interviews, which I'm grateful, I appreciate, through road shows, through pamphlets, and through direct engagement by our voter educators.
And I'm assuming this will be in all languages, I'm hoping, right? I mean, not just Shona, it'll be in...
Yes, yes. In fact, what we encourage ourselves is to say there is no point in us sending someone to Binga who cannot communicate in Tonga and so forth and so on. So we try as much as possible to have all our education, voter education material in all the languages, so that no one is left out. Because if we leave out a section of the community, then you cannot say that it was a free, fair, and all-inclusive process. So we are very mindful. We are very mindful of that.
Now there is one issue, of course. 10% of Zimbabwe's population are persons with disabilities, and I think that's critical component and critical demographic. Our citizens. What are you doing about those citizens? For example, maybe sight impaired or sight challenged who need Braille, maybe access to some of these voter education drives, and they don't have ramps and stuff. I mean, has ZEC taken into account that 10% of our citizens who are persons with disabilities?
Very much so, very much so. And I think the political leadership in this country, the president himself, one of our ZEC commissioners comes from that constituency. So if at all, that should...
So he's the voice on the commission.
Speaks to the awareness and the need to be inclusive in our electoral process. And then he is also the contact person with these other institutions which are represented. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And of course, on polling day, I'm assuming the polling stations, depending on where they are, of course, some may be on level ground, but they will also have access or people to help persons with disabilities to be able to vote properly.
Key. Yeah,
that's key.
That's key. In fact, I just want you to envision a polling station whereby, let's say, normally these polling areas or polling stations will be we utilize schools, and then where we have no access to schools, we'll pitch up tents and so forth. So we are going to have special ushers, right? So that at each point, when you come as a voter, you will be directed to, let's say, a stream that starts with Hodges and ends with that.
H to Z,
exactly. Okay. And one other thing that I would want, in order to speed up the process so that we have more count time, is that each polling station will have a maximum of 1,000 or less voters.
So that you don't, because one of the things I noticed in 2018 is people spending until 9 o'clock at night, queues going out. It was actually quite a hassle to vote, and some people left because they couldn't sit there for 7 hours.
Yes, no, those are lessons learned. Those are lessons learned, and this is precisely what we're going to try and do and improve, particularly the by-elections that we had last year and so forth, were quite an opportunity for us to improve on our system. So this time, we will make sure that people don't get lost for a better word. Now, make sure that they are directed to their correct...
I want to talk about one issue which concerns me directly, and that's media freedoms. Because one aspect of the electoral bill, which is currently before Parliament and hasn't yet been passed, is about media freedoms when covering the elections, mainly around accreditation, duplication of payments or fees to cover the election and so forth. So the question, of course, is simple. If the bill has not been passed or may not be passed, which, of course, as you said earlier, there's still consultations on what happens next. Will ZEC continue accrediting journalists based on the existing position, or are you waiting to understand what's going to be happening with the electoral bill? What is the position of ZEC at the moment?
We are going to accredit it on the basis of our existing laws. Why? It's because this process is too important for any delay. You see, we've got clear time frames which we must follow. By 21st of June, the nomination courts will be sitting. What does that mean? It means we must have our final register by that time printed, because participating candidates will be getting the voters roll free of charge for those that will have qualified.
So you need to have it so that, because if you don't, they won't be able to get it.
Yes. So all those things must be in place. So any talk of us going back on a process like this, in the first place, I doubt if it's legal or it would find any legal sympathy.
I just quote for you the text. It says Zimbabwe Electoral Commission is responsible for monitoring the media during election periods in terms of Section 160 of the Electoral Act and Statute Instrument SI 33 of 2008. But let me continue on this aspect of media. I will come back to the opening up of the nomination courts after this, but the media say, and a lot of people in the media, critics in the media, say that the media is already over-regulated when it comes to elections and over-monitored when it comes to reporting on elections. And really, the media should be free to report where and how they like, because, of course, we should have, and we do have, a free and fair media here, and they should visit anywhere they want and shouldn't be paying all these huge accreditation fees and so forth. What would you say to such an assertion of view?
Yes. No, the media, if at all, is going to be an effective media, a media that will inform accurately, will have to allow it. How they carry out their business is not our problem. Our role is basically to accredit them. But once they are accredited, then they are free to deploy in the best way that they think they are going to be able to achieve their mandates.
I want to just quickly, I want to continue about the level playing field just now, but let's talk about the nomination courts, okay? Because I remember at the last by-elections that we held, there was a little bit of issues around the nomination process, papers not being submitted properly and so forth. I mean, what is the issue now? You said 21st of July. Is that the date?
21st of June.
21st of June, nomination courts open.
Yes,
okay, and they sit for about 2 days. Is it? I forget the number. It's a few days. So what is the process? I mean, how have you ensured that nomination process will be smooth? Candidates, whatever it is, local authorities, Parliament, or even the President, they know where to go. It's an easy and easy process, which is quick and painless if the documentation is correct.
It's a very good point you are raising, Andy. We are issuing a statement tomorrow whereby all candidates are encouraged to visit our district offices, our provincial offices, to get their nomination forms in order. They don't have to wait until the 21st. No, 21st is just the sitting. But in the meantime, it will also help us. If at all the names, the forms have got mistakes or need corrections and so forth, it will give ZEC as well as the candidates themselves an opportunity to make those corrections.
All right, let me get this straight then. So you're saying that you will be issuing a press statement tomorrow as ZEC, which will be clearly stating that candidates can come and get the forms, fill them in, put in all the necessary documentation, submit them now.
Yes.
They don't have to wait till the 21st of June. They can submit them now to make sure that by the time the nomination court is open, documentation is all in order. Is that what you're going to be doing tomorrow?
Yes, that's
all right. Great. Now, I want to talk about this now. ZEC, can you say this time around you're in a position to conduct these harmonized elections on August the 23rd flawlessly, without questions and contestations? Because of course it is that contestation, it's that those arguments about the process, about the vote, about how things are counted, about when the ballot is, about delays in announcing results and so forth. These are the things that breed violence. We've noticed that in the past. So will you be able to assure the nation that ZEC is going to make sure that all the things that you're supposed to do, you'll try and do as flawlessly as possible, so that there is no contention? People cannot dispute what you're saying or dispute anything that you do.
Correct. That is what we're working towards, that, and we're confident we're going to deliver on our mandate. But it's not just ZEC. And this is how I want our audiences to understand. It takes all of us, right? The political parties, the media, the candidates themselves. Everyone has got a role to play in making sure. Of course, ZEC, being the referee, plays a more prominent role. But this exercise involves everyone, and each and every one of us plays its part, particularly by observing, following what the law says, which we are, educating the public about, being peaceful. We will deliver, but it takes all of us. All of us, the ZRP, the political parties, and other institutions, religious institutions, other institutions, the media also, reporting accurately and without being sensationalists and so forth. Staying away from reports that encourage violence and so forth. Don't forget, this is the electoral process is not just about the physical act of voting
on the day.
Well, on the day, no. We are all together with the media and so forth. And all.
Because now the campaigning is starting in earnest.
Yes.
We then have, so it's got pre-elections, the campaigning.
Exactly.
We've got election day.
Exactly.
Then, of course, we've got post-election.
Yes.
So you're talking here about the whole time period,
process,
which is up to now to August, and then after August the 23rd, when the results come out.
Because this is the thing, yes. Yeah, because we also have to manage, like anybody else, the media, just like us too, we are managing perceptions. We must be seen and be believed that we are doing the correct thing, what is in the best interest of our country, and this is precisely
without fear or favor.
Without fear or favor.
I want to talk about the level playing field. In previous elections, opposition they've cried foul about this. And one area, I'm sure there's plenty of other areas, but one area I want to pick on in particular is access to media by opposition political parties, particularly to what I may call state media. And that is one of the issues that has been a bugbear for many years in many elections. I mean, what is ZEC doing, or what can ZEC do to ensure that in this election cycle, every political party, doesn't matter who they are, has equal access to media streams, whether radio, television, whatever?
Exactly.
What are you newspapers? What are you doing to ensure
yes,
that?
there is a media committee made up of ZEC was one of the things. Then we've got the Media Commission. Then we've got the Broadcasting Authority of Zimbabwe. They constitute the Media Committee. Now, if there are any, I mean, the expectation is more so on the public broadcaster. That has to be made accessible to all the contending political parties and candidates, and the media committee is there to make sure that
Has the media committee been set up yet?
Yeah, in fact, yeah, we should be setting because once proclamation is in place,
then these things trigger.
This
Okay.
thing trigger.
So if, for example, an opposition party finds that it isn't getting equal access, to the national broadcaster, for example, they can submit their grievance to the media commission, and are you assuring those political parties that ZEC or the media commission will, if it's found to be true, take action to make sure that they do get access? Can you assure us that?
Precisely.
That's
the whole reason to talk. That's why we are there. We have to deliver on that. We have to deliver on that.
Now, some may say that we are now in, I don't know, the word is silly season, I think. It's the time when everyone starts campaigning. I mean, I don't mean that badly, but it's just a word that I can use.
Yes,
now,
yes.
And one thing that is prevalent around election time is the social media fake news, or the stories that start pitching up on social media, which could not be true or not, but they're taken as fact. They're shared wildly among Zimbabweans, and eventually we get to believe them. Has ZEC got any plan, or is ZEC going to do anything about combating these social media fake news sort of broadcasts, which can actually both incite violence and actually put the electoral process in doubt? I mean, that's what some critics are alleging, and I've seen it happen in other countries. America's a good example of exactly how social media fake news affected elections. Talk to us.
Yes. Like I said, the responsibility lies with everybody. Of course, we don't encourage our people to indulge in such activities. They destabilize the peace of the country, and that without peace we cannot have peaceful elections.
But
now, as ZEC,
Right.
Now, as ZEC, we will be, of course, acting through the media committee, be checking out on these news items and taking corrective steps where particularly it concerns ZEC. If misleading or misinformation about what is happening in ZEC we will be making statements.
One thing I'd like you to ensure us on, Ambassador, is this. You know, I always find sometimes, and I saw it in the last election, ZEC reacted rather than proacted. In the sense that when something comes out, maybe ZEC kept quiet and let the story build steam until by the time you did say something, it was fact, okay? Can you assure us now that if ZEC sees anything that they feel could jeopardize the re-election or jeopardize the smooth running of it or fake news or anything, can you assure us that ZEC will immediately maybe call a press conference, issue a press statement, because it's important that the story is set straight immediately rather than wait 2-3 days, because in the news cycle, 2-3 days, it becomes truth.
Correct. That is precisely what we've set ourselves to do. And you remember before coming to the studio, I was saying to you, it is my expectation that there will be more of these engagements with the institutions like ZT and other media houses and journalists to make sure that correct information is sent out there.
Now, one of the areas, of course, that there was a huge hullabaloo about was the nomination fees. And, of course, political parties stated that these nomination fees were too high, etc. But I understand that, through my source at the Herald, that you may have more information on this. Tell us about, is there something that ZEC is issuing about nomination fees?
Yes. We are telling our candidates that for presidential, it's $20,000 US. For parliamentarians, it's 1,000. For ward councillors, I think it's 500.
500. So $20,000 US registration for president, $1,000 US for members of parliament, and 500 for councillors. That's what, and that's the announcement you're going to be making tomorrow morning. It's right here. You've got the press statement here.
Yes.
Now. Just a formal question. We just got a few more minutes left, Ambassador. But this contestation, and the issue of winners and winners, losers are losers, and the mechanisms and avenues for them to dispute something when after the election's held, or even prior to it, when they see something that's wrong and so forth. The mechanisms to show political parties, of all political parties, that the process is free, transparent, and fair. Maybe briefly explain to us this process of whether you see something before, whether you see something during, or even after when you don't like the results. Tell us about this grievance process.
Yes, we have what we call multi-party liaison committees. These are obtained at national, provincial, district level, and we really want to cascade them to the lowest possible level, so that there is clarity of what is expected of individuals as voters, what is expected of candidates
and how to do it.
And how to do it.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's critical. And also the process is what you need, what you require. And I think, but is it important that you tell people this beforehand? Because you don't want to get to a position where I'm now disputing, I say, well, we need this. I think in the old days it was V11s. But the fact is that, is this going to be open and transparent to everybody?
Because if we are open and transparent, and there's clarity on the part of the contestants, that need to contest the outcome should not arise. And that's what we work to. We don't work towards creating a situation whereby the results are contested. That's not what we're aiming.
So that would be a bad election.
It would be a bad election. We are aiming for a free, fair, and credible election. That's what we're...
Ambassador, your final message to Zimbabweans. Here we are, we're on a platform, we're talking to Zimbabweans voters. Obviously, it's one of the first programs that ZTN Prime will have, looking at our election countdown to August the 23rd. Your final message to Zimbabwean voters as we formally start the election process, culminating, of course, in the vote on August the 23rd, and, of course, the announcement of winners and losers. What would be your final message?
My message is that to all Zimbabweans, we owe it to ourselves to come up with peaceful elections, we owe it to ourselves to conduct ourselves in a manner that will bring us credible outcomes. We are in this together. Although Zach does play the critical role, but my final thing is that we as Zimbabweans are in this together.
We've come to the end of the chase this evening, Zimbabwe's premier current affairs program. I'd like to thank my guest, Ambassador Rodney Kiwa, Zimbabwe Electoral Commission Deputy Chairperson. Ambassador,
thank you very
so
much
for coming on
See
the
you
chase.
next time. Thank you.
A final comment and plea. Most Zimbabweans wish to vote in a peaceful and organized manner with no intimidation or fear. That is a fact. All forms of violence before, during, and after the election must be shunned, and all political players and parties must be outspoken that this is the case. Zimbabwe fought a war for freedom and democracy, and this can and must never be compromised by violence. I'm Andy Hodges. Good night, goodbye, and please, you all be safe.
Somebody, life, just as we all know it, is full of emotions. We're in 90 minutes.